Greetings, Shelpers. Thank you for joining me for Mario Kart. I wasn't sure what I was going to do today because husband and I didn't end up streaming yesterday, so what I think we're going to do is just relax today and play. If any of you want to join me online, my Switch code is somewhere else, and you can join me. I think it's I can go worldwide and do versus. I don't really like battle races that much. If I sound like I'm on kind of a downbeat, like not very kosher today, I'm kind of not. And it's just one of those things. It's been a lot. I'm not getting a whole lot of sleep right now and whatnot, so. Alright, let me just randomize this. There's nothing I feel a particular kind of way about for now. I hope everyone is doing well. I am sorry that I keep switching around my days and things to do. I think I get a schedule figured out and then it's like, well, nope, that's not going to happen, you know. I have to keep track of my health. I have to keep track of what my husband is doing. And that kind of throws monkey wrenches into our plans. But I try my best. I've been trying to get back on a 3-day schedule, but I don't think I can do that yet next week, but I don't know, we'll see. So I watched the Triple I Interactive Showcase, and I have some thoughts. I mentioned that my favorite announcement was that there was going to be an Undermine 2. I still stand by that, but there were actually quite a few good announcements in the showcase. And I don't know if y'all have seen it. I actually wanted to like watch it with you, but I don't know if anybody would be interested in that. Most of the time I don't do like reactive streams at all. Like I don't just sit and watch like, you know, cooking or art videos or anything like that. So I mean, I do one reactive thing a year, and that's generally when the Cozy Gaming Showcase happens near the summertime. And I don't know if anybody would want to have like a live stream where I've already seen it, but we can go through it together. I think everybody who wants to have seen it has probably already seen the Triple I Interactive Showcase. But yeah. Yeah, thank you, but I do feel bad, and I'm kind of all kinds of fucked up. My sleep schedule's fucked up because I'm on antibiotics, and I have to take 2 different kinds of antibiotics. One for 7 days, one for fucking 10 days. And the one for 10 days is I think it's clindamycin. And Clindo actually makes your mouth tastes like a chemical factory. It's fucking amazing. So I have to take Clindo every 8 and the red one, which I don't remember what it is anymore, every 6 hours. So I have to be up, like I take my last, like at 3:30 in the morning, then I have to be up at like 9:30, and I don't sleep well anyway, but when I know I have to wake up, I sleep even worse. So that's been an absolute pain in the behind. And then all of the wonderful tastes in my mouth. Because, you know, you don't only get like shitty morning breath. Now I have like a chemical toilet morning breath. It's really bad. I think vancomycin, I could be wrong about that, is basically a, I want to say a twin or a cousin to this med. And when I was on it in the hospital, the Vanco, my mouth tasted like I was sucking on a sack of pennies. So, yeah, I'm used to the icky. Plus, this medication gives me heartburn, and I already have acid reflux disease. So, my antacid is not doing shit for me. And then you have to be on a probiotic with the antibiotics. Reason being is because when you take really strong antis, your gut flora fucks up major. Yeah, it's been rough. It really has. Oof. So yeah, I have more heartburn, I have more nausea. I have to take a probiotic, or I could nuke my gut flora to the point where I actually have C. diff, and nobody wants C. diff. I guess we'll try to Mount Wario. But yeah, I thought I would just talk today and run some Mario Kart. It's been a while since we had a Mario Kart stream. I have a lot of stuff I want to play, but I was like looking through it this morning and I'm like, I just don't know. And I'm on a downbeat today, like really, really harsh. And I'm like trying to remember everything, and I know I'm forgetting things. Like today we were gonna send out a birthday package to somebody because it's almost his birthday and I forgot, so we're gonna have to do that on Monday. And I hope it gets there in time. But I was like really upset that I forgot. And I have somebody else who has a birthday the week after. And I gotta get set up for that. And the person whose birthday it is the week after, she has been, how do I explain this? Okay, so she claimed me as a friend, right? So we're friends. We're friends in her mind, which is cool. Like, I talk to her on the phone sometimes and whatnot. She's a fellow disabled poet and whatever, like I am. Although her artist and stuff is like years above mine. Like, she is like fantastic. I mean, she does like her own chapbook series. She does like a lot of different stuff I don't do. So she's an editor. She is an artist with a capital A. Like, she does pottery and like oil painting and stuff like that, as well as like writes poetry and essays and all that fun stuff. Okay, so when I was trying to get my book published before I had it, I was lamenting that, you know, I got a lot of rejections, which of course I did. And she was talking to me about it, and she's like, well, you need to, you know, find a way in via a friend. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not my thing. I don't want to use friendship to get in the door of anything. And she told me basically, I want to say that I was naive, that just being picked out of the slush pile doesn't happen anymore, or people finding you at a reading and trying to publish your stuff doesn't happen, that what I want is basically to be a unicorn, to find a unicorn, that's not a thing in writing anymore, and basically that I was just some naive child as this like 30-some-year-old woman trying to get my book into the world, and that what I really needed was a good old dose of nepotism or favoritism or connections, which I don't agree with. Should I agree with it? Maybe, but I don't. Okay, I don't believe that because you are already famous or know somebody who has a connection that you should get in over somebody who's better. I know that's how the world can work. I don't believe that's how the world should work. So did I want to use the few connections I have with anybody to open up a door for me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I had a couple people want to introduce me to this person or that person. I'm holding my own at 10th today. It's been pretty pathetic. Oh well. So, yikes. So anyway, over the years, she's kind of been like, sounds like bullshit fits perfectly. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be that. I didn't want to do that. And I didn't actually. How I got my book published was I literally sent my book to open submission calls until one of the presses said, yeah, sounds good, we want in. And that's kind of how I got there. I didn't use my connections at all. Whatsoever. So, she was wrong about that. But she does this kind of stuff to me all the time. Like, basically hints that I don't know what I'm talking about, or she's older than I am, and she has a lot more experience than I do. But I still don't believe that I have to play a game because that's how the game is played. I don't like that idea. Although, I know it's kind of hypocritical, because if it were me, and that had the connections of someone else I believed in, really wanted to try to get their work published or something, I would be like, fuck yes, let's do this. Like, I will totally introduce you. So I know that maybe I'm being a little bit hypocritical, because I would leverage my position to help somebody else, but I wouldn't want anybody else leveraging their position for me, if that makes sense. Well, anyway, we've had a couple go-arounds like that where she basically considers me naive. One time I had this goal that I wanted to do, and I had this Facebook group for women disabled writers, or femme presenting, or whatever you want to put it. Like, trans women were, valid in the space, femme presenting, non-binary people, just for femmes, okay? Not that I don't love my, masked brothers and NBs and stuff, but, like, we were working on just talking about things that were important to female, or, femme, identifying poets and writers along with disability, because there is an intersection of differences like sexism and ableism and stuff together. Well, she had convinced me to allow a man into the space, and later on she didn't even like the guy anymore, but she's like, what are you, afraid he'll bite? And she would say shit like that to me, and it's like, no, that's just not what the mission was. And she's a feminist, so I'm like, I thought she would understand like what I was going for, but she like cajoled me and kind of put me down until I agreed, and now she hates the guy. Now she's like, I'm not even friends with him anymore, and he wasn't a good person, and I'm like, but yeah, he's on my friend list because of you. But anyway, I digress. So the current thing now is that she is doing a project where she has to have a few people she knows who are disabled, a few Crips. She has to have them submit work, like poems. And she's like, get your work in here. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, I don't really want that to happen. Do you need me to, like, put out the word for you? Because I still have connections from, like, the years I was a curator for my, like, space for creatives, disabled and neurodivergent creatives. And she's like, no, it has to be, like, my friends or whatever. And she knows how I feel about nepotism and the who you know and who you blow type thing going on. Seventh is better. But she knows how I feel about that. And I don't really want to do that. Because she's like, oh, just send me a few of your unpublished poems, I'll pick one. And it's like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, I can't come to Wisconsin and twist your arm. And it's like, I don't want you to. Like, I don't want that. So anyway, I told her I'd send her some next week, but I don't want to. I don't want this to be like a circle jerk. I don't want to be like, oh, one of you judges, so one of you gets, the award, and one of you has a magazine, so one of you gets published in it, and since you published me here, then I'll nominate you there. I don't want this to be a quid pro quo, back-scratching circle jerk. I don't. And, she always puts me in these situations, and I tell her I don't want to be, and then she acts like she's hurt. And it's like, I don't know if she doesn't get it, or if she just thinks I'm too naive to actually be an effective writer. Because she's like, no, this is how this works. And I'm like, yeah, for a lot of people it sure does, but it doesn't have to. You know, maybe if things were less quid pro quo, we'd get new writers doing new things, good things. You know? I don't know. I Maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm just a ridiculous person. So I don't like the feeling of it. So I kind of don't want to send her my poems just so she can pick one and use it for whatever the fuck project this is. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't feel like it's right. But she's going to be insistent. And then she'll be like, what, aren't you my friend? And I'm like, I hate, you know, she knows how I feel. She knows how I feel. And I feel like if she were really my friend, she would just let me do whatever. Like, she would know not to ask me. Because she knows, like, that's... Unless the project is really about, like, disabled friendship, and, like, she literally needs that friendship angle, she's just doing a form of nepotism. I know nepotism is when you're related, but still, she's doing a form of, let's say, favoritism. And, yeah, it's complicated. You know, she's smart, she's funny, she's a she's got the passionate animal activist. Like, she runs like a half-assed, like, not an official sanctuary, but like, there are just so many positive traits about her. But like, when it comes to me, it's almost like, at points she's like, stupid naive girl. She doesn't say that, but like, that's the way I feel based on what she says. Like, this is how this is done. Like, you know, you're just being naive now. You're just being, and I'm like, leave me alone. Like, I mean, can't we just talk and you not ask me for things? Like, one time, okay, I was a curator for a while for my space, and she sent me something for my space that didn't fit. And I told her, I don't want to publish this, it isn't right for my space. And she says, but you'll publish it because we're friends. And I said to her, no. I said, that's not how this works. I said, if you're going to make me choose between being your friend or your editor, I choose being your friend. And she was like, oh, well, never mind then. I don't want to do that then. Like, I'll send you something else. And I'm like, okay then. So really, you were trying to use our connection to basically shoehorn in whatever you wanted to shoehorn in. I don't know. I have honestly no idea. And she's lost a lot of friends, and I can kind of see why if she is the way she is with me. But also, like, she's got so many good qualities, and I don't want to hurt people, and it's complicated for me. But it's like, I don't want to do the connection thing. I don't want to, oh, you did this for me, now I'll do that for you. That's not what I'm about. It's not the kind of person I am. And I don't care if everybody else does it. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean you have to or you should. That's not a thing. So, anyway, that's kind of what I'm dealing with now. And I'm dealing with a staph infection, which is why I'm on antibiotics and probiotics. And if these don't work, we're on to something else, which is going to be a pain in the ass. And a few more races, I have to take my meds again. I'm supposed to take like 9:30 at 3:30, 9:30, 3:30. She just has a very specific thing in mind as to what literary circles are going to be. Oh, Bippo, hi, how are you? How was your stream? What were you playing? Tell me. Welcome, Raiders. Thank you for dropping by. It is a parasitic relationship. I get it because the literary world is like that a lot now. I told you about the story about this one judge who actually accepted her husband for an award, and it's like, they're supposed to not even consider people they know or the work they recognize. And it's like, what are the odds her husband's work was not known to her at all? Like, he was like secretly writing in like the bathroom between poop or something, and she just honestly didn't know. Like, that doesn't happen. So there is a lot of nepotism, quid pro quo. Like, if you are a certain level of writer, like, you'll be invited to be a judge at some point, and then it's like, well, you're a judge, so you like know what your friends write like, so you at least give them a decent placing, and then the next time they're gonna be a judge because they have a specific amount of experience, so then they will publish their friends or give them a finalist thing or whatever. And it's so much like that. It is in the literary world. So I get where let's call her my friend, I get where my friend is coming from. There is a lot of how this works. Definitely and unequivocally how this works. But it doesn't have to. And not everybody plays that game. Like, it's a lot like being a VTuber in some ways, where some people only want to be your friend when you can do something for them. Like, oh, you have a good amount of viewers on your stream? Hey, let's collab. It's like, do you even like me as a person? Like, you don't even know me as a person. You just know my numbers. It's kind of like that. Like, oh, you have this many accolades and you're a judge for this or an editor for that? Well, let me just, like, be your friend. Or, hey, we're friends, aren't we? So can you just do me a little favor? Can you just give me a shout out? Can you just give me a finalist recommendation? Can you just write me that review in that prestigious magazine you happen to be owner of? Whatever it is. And it's almost incestuous. I want to use the term incestuous. And yes, that is the way it goes for a lot of times. You can totally get fucked because you don't know people. I get that. By the way, anybody who wants to play with me, I will figure out how to get you in. You don't have to just sit and watch. When I play Mario Kart, it's open. It's open for play. You don't have to, like, just come and go. Like, or watch me. I'm not like that. As long as you're not a bunghole, we're good here. Like, I don't play with people who have, like, racist names or any bullshit like that. We are definitely pro-equality here. We are inclusive. If you're one of those people that's not inclusive, you will not have a good time here. I'm disabled, I'm asexual, I'm a cancer survivor, I'm fat. Like, I'm white and cis, but pretty much every other box is checked. As far as, like, being a person of a minority or whatever the hell. So, you will not have a good time here with bullshit, but otherwise, I love fun. So, interactive showcase. There was Slay the Spire 2. I don't know if y'all remember that card game I played on stream. They had a game called Kill Knight, which looked good. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I should just stream that next week. You think we'll get in trouble for it? If I don't archive? Do you guys want me to, like, sit with you and watch the interactive showcase, the III interactive showcase next week? Let me know. We can do that. I've never done a stream of, and I've seen it before. So, like, if you want my, like, reactions as, like, Mundermine 2 is announced, you're not going to get that. I was watching it with husband and we were having lunch. And I almost choked to death because I was so excited I started, like, almost screaming at the screen. So, you're not going to get that kind of reaction from me. But if you want to have a kind of, you know, I guess community thing where we talk about the III interactive showcase and I tell you what I think about each thing, I can certainly do that. That is definitely a choice. So let me know, otherwise I'll just tell you all the games I'm interested in. I've been watching more of a cartoon from DreamWorks called, it's a Hulu original called Fright Crew, and it came out around Halloween. And this girl who is the descendant of Marie Laveau accidentally unleashes a big evil Marie had actually sealed away years ago. And she accidentally lets it out, so her and like 4 other classmates get powers from the Loa of voodoo. Voodoo, whatever. I'm not good at that. And they're in Nolans, so there's like a lot of big like Nolans, like the Rougarou for legends, and it's very interesting. I really like it. I really like it so far. I'm about halfway through, I think. And it's very interesting for me. It's rated PG. They don't have commercials even on the commercial plan, so that's nice. But yeah, so I've been watching that quite a bit. I like the animation. I like that they are exploring like voodoo as more of a positive. I can't tell you how many times I've seen like voodoo, Santeria, all those other types of things seen as like negative, like, oh, they're raising zombies, oh, they're putting curses on people, or voodoo dolls, they're gonna like stab people and control them and whatnot. So it's very nice to actually see a positive representation of that side of voodoo, because voodoo is not an evil religion, it's, or practice, I guess I should call it as well. But yeah, so it's interesting seeing the Loa and all that fun stuff. So I'm enjoying it pretty well. Husband and I are getting blackout curtains for the living room. He went and bought a couple of panels and they're way too slim. Today we need something way wider because our living room window is actually fairly big. Like, the length is good. He bought 84 inches, but the 2 panels together are only like 52. And that covers up half the window only. So we had to actually, we're gonna buy new like 9.5 masks, like N95s, because I still don't go anywhere without a mask on. So when we bought our masks, I'm like, we'll just buy blackout panels from Walmart. So that's what we did. So we're actually gonna have blackout curtains for the living room finally. Something we've been wanting. Hopefully it saves on cooling costs. I'm not holding my breath on that one though. But it would be nice. You know, and I'm old now. I am getting new window curtains is exciting old. So, but it would be nice to have less of an issue with the heat. We have a southern exposure and a very big window and no trees, so it's very hot. And this summer or whatever, I'm gonna have the maintenance people come in and hang up all of our artwork and stuff that, see, years ago we had to have our place remodeled. And they were like, we'll put everything back the way we found it. They didn't, but we fixed it. And then they're like, we'll put all your art and pictures back up on the walls. They didn't. So it's been years, but since it was the panini, as people call it, we didn't have them come back in and do their job and put everything back together. So we have a lot of like family photos and stuff that were on our walls that they didn't put back up. And only one person is still here from when they did that. So I'm gonna be like, hey, I know you don't remember, but like a handful of years ago when you guys remodeled shit, you told us you'd put our apartment back together and you didn't. You fucking didn't. So now would be a good time for that. So we'll see what he has to say. He's a good guy. We talk every time we see each other, so I'm hoping he will. Because trust me, you do not want me to actually start nailing stuff to the wall myself. I have something that's beautiful, but it is so heavy, I don't think we can hang it in the apartment. It wasn't hanging on the wall before they got here. It's something I just want up. I bought a piece years ago, and it was at a... Damn it, we keep going to this place. I keep falling right there. It was at a place where you can buy different stuff and whatnot. Well, the thing is, I bought it and I didn't realize how heavy it was because it was an auction. And in the auction, it's a rectangle, a long rectangle, and it's framed. And it has a matte green, like a, I want to say, like a Kelly green almost, or a moss green. And it's opaque, that. And then it has flowers on it, and you're going to be like, okay, that's boring. But the flowers are made out of multicolored, I think, foil. And so they're very shiny, and they're very beautiful. And this whole piece is like dedicated to someone who either died or gave it away. But it's a gorgeous piece. The contrast of the matte, opaque, plain green, which is not too different than the green of my skin, actually. And then maybe that stuff is a little desaturated compared to my skin. But then, with the flowers being as bright and colorful and just huge, it's a very heavy piece, but it is gorgeous. Like, I'm not one to just be like, oh, another flower painting. Those can get very generic, but this feels like a moment somehow. So, I was very pleased with it, but I don't know if it'll fit because we're only allowed to use, like, picture nails, and that thing is like an anchor. So I don't know if it's going to actually stay up with a picture nail. Which is another reason why the maintenance person can kind of come in and tell me, hey, you know, this would or would not work. So I'm hoping that it will. Because like I said, I have a bunch of different stuff that I want to hang. Sister gives us stuff once in a while, and she's like, are you going to have them, like, pick up your stuff ever again? I'm like, yeah, well, you know, at first it was this, that, and the other, and I always get busy with something. And I'm on antibiotics again, so it's like it's always something. And I'm feeling really bad about being on the antibiotics because I thought I was doing so good health-wise because I've been trying really hard to, like, stay off the antibiotics, stay out of the hospital. You know, I've been doing things for years to, like, change my health around, and that includes stuff like I quit soda years ago. I take much better care of, like, certain things. I make sure I get as much movement as my very, very sore, chronic pain-filled body can actually handle. I do things, right? And I was like, oh, this is actually maybe making a difference. Because I haven't had to go to the emergency room since, you know, this will be year 3. And, well, nope, fuck you on that one. Apparently, I'm not doing anything better. So, but I've had a staph infection for almost a year, apparently. Because I've had the same problem for a while. So that means I might actually have been able to stave off going to the hospital. No guarantees. So yeah, I don't feel very accomplished anymore. I was very much hoping that I did something good. And now it feels like it's square one. Like every time I get somewhere, it feels like something drags me back down to hell. To be honest. And it's just so frustrating. And I try very hard. And I know the older I get, the worse my health is going to be. The harder it's going to be to bounce back from anything. Which is one of the many reasons I've been changing the way I do things. I've been taking more supplements. I've been cutting down on my sugar. I've been over and over and over and over. I don't shirk going to the doctor now, for instance. I used to be so terrified of the doctor. So there's just so many things I do now that I didn't before. So I really was hopeful. And now it just feels like the hope is ripped away. It's like the whole thing about you know, finding certain friends or trying to get my family to stay together or whatever. It's like everything just falls out from under me. And it's kind of heartbreaking. So this is what I feel like is my latest setback. I have to practice my poem reading for tonight to know if I'm still under a certain amount of minutes, because every writer has 10 minutes to get their asses in gear and get everything in order, because we only have 10 minutes. Is it actually working?
Yeah, it showed up in my shit.
Okay, thank you, my dear. But yeah, I have a command for my friend code. I forgot about that. Usually I have it up with the Discord, but I haven't needed it in a while.
Oh, we need to give you your stuff again, is it?
Oh yeah, after the race I need to take my meds. So I might have to sit one out. Taking meds is important. We talk about that all the time on this channel. I really did want to wait till after the reading to do that, because I'm afraid I'm going to end up like with something bad happening, like diarrhea or something, because when you're on powerful antibiotics you can get that, which is why I'm on the pro partly. And I was scared that I was gonna like not be able to go to the reading tomorrow as advertised, because yeah, I don't know how many more readings for this particular book I'm going to be doing, actually. And I thought about reading a poem from my collection that might be coming out late this year, my new one. It might be a chat book, but still, it's a collection. I'm fine with it. But yeah, I don't know. I have to be mindful because there are a bunch of different writers together, and this might be an all ages event, not just an adult event. So I can't have anything that like hints at sex. I shouldn't have anything that has swearing in it. I'm not going to go off on like a tangent about what inspiration porn is this time. I'm going to be a very, very good girl. Even though like some of these conversations I'm having are very important, especially in a backwards town like I'm in. And I do say backwards. We're having so much more trouble now. Like, we didn't get the funding for the library, and that's gonna fuck us. And our city board can actually appoint the library board, so that means that we're gonna have more fiscally responsible, quote unquote. I.e., basically, it came out that the Republicans on our city council and stuff are actually told they're being backed by a certain type of Republican thing where they get money from it, and they're told you have to vote along party lines. So if there's something in our school board that would actually help LGBTQIA PND plus students, they're going to be told to run against it because it's perversion here. People on the school board or the library board might decide not just not extend funding, but they might prohibit the use of it for LGBT age-appropriate materials for our library. So they're not only going to get it out of the schools, they're going to try to get it out of our public library as well. I see this going very, very badly. Okay, I need medication. So 1 second, I might be a little late for the next race. I have the red and the blue pill here. I'm just gonna say, okay, I'll say Waluigi Stadium, even though the airport's probably a better guess. Yeah, this one is cephalexin, the red pill. Tastes like shit. I'm talking. Alrighty. Here are the pills. I am doing what I can do, but I'm not proud of it. It actually feels like an exercise in futility. Like I'm fucking Sisyphus, to be honest. My health, my family, my friend relationships, most of them. It honestly feels like an exercise in futility. I'm still doing what I can as I can, but yeah, it's a kick in the lady balls. It really is, right to the ovaries. Feels like a kick in the ovaries. Ah, shit. I did it just a little too early. So I got a game I've been really keeping my eye on, and apparently I'm either too dumb to know how to play it, or they still haven't figured out all the bugs, because I waited a couple years. There was a game on the Cozy Gaming Showcase. My god, that was a mouthful already. And it was called To the Rescue, and it was about running an animal shelter, like a dog rescue. And it has a cute pixel art style, and you help take care of the dogs and get them adopted and raise funding, and it seemed really cool. But like, I went to go out to the play area with one of the dogs, and I ended up having an issue where I couldn't figure out how to play with them. I picked up this ball and I didn't know how to throw it, and I'm wondering, since it was my first day, maybe they weren't gonna like let me do that, but they should have. So I'm not really sure what is going on. All I could tell you is that yeah, it was not great, and I was like, oh, is it broken? And when it first came out, like somebody talked about like 9 months ago, the game was really fucking bad. Like with glitches, like it would freeze up and everything. There is no auto save, so like it only like saves every certain while. So I was almost done with my first day when I thought something was wrong with the game. Went to reset it, and then I have to play the whole day over again. So I'm kind of just like, I don't know now. So I'll try it again later, but it's normally $20. It's on sale for $2 on Switch. People say it's better on Steam, but I don't really play a lot of games on computer. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it was user error. I fully acknowledge sometimes it takes me forever to figure out a video game. So we'll have to see. So my husband's mom and dad are actually gonna be able to move pretty soon. They had a natural disaster happen to them last year, and their house actually is not savable, but they have a place nearby they can move into. So they're able to do that soon. So they'll finally be able to have their own place back, which is great because we've been waiting a while for it to happen. I can't imagine being displaced for like the better part of a year. I know some people get displaced for years at a time, but we're just very glad they have somewhere to be until they can get everything going. That's pretty much everything going on in my life right now, maybe. I don't even know anymore. I'm still working on projects on Canva Pro and trying to figure out like what accessories I'm missing as my turtle. I'm trying to look into getting a gift tuber for myself, but I need specific things. Like I want a wheelchair. And if I put what I wanted exactly in like a post, then when my new model comes out, people would be like, well, I have to look for like the rainbow sparkles and I have to look for the cupcake butt, and then everybody would just find me. So I can't really ask. And oh, I got something funny to tell you though. Like, okay, I was talking to Odd and he was telling me about, you know, things in life and stuff. And I said to Otter, I was going to say, or do you rely on her income too much? Well, I use speech to text a lot because it's genuinely way faster. And sometimes it doesn't do its job. So instead of asking him, or do you rely on her income too much? It literally said, or do you rely on her to come too much? And I almost sent that. Yeah, I couldn't imagine going through it either, but they live in Tornado Alley. I am not a fan. There are like so many reasons like why I want to go down and see where her husband used to live and like visit his family down there and go to all the places he used to go and all this stuff. And then I'm remembering there are things like Tornado Alley, and I'm remembering there are things like scorpions in the more rural parts, and I'm remembering there are black widow spiders and copperhead snakes and heat hotter than Satan's ball sack. And I'm just like, okay, maybe this isn't a good place for me. Like, maybe this is not a good place. As a turtle, I'm not very accustomed to heat. All the time. Yeah. But holy shit. Like I think I told everybody the story about how my husband's father, my father-in-law, had to actually like I think it was 1 December, they had a lot of rain. So the snakes and stuff were like heading to other places that was not so flooded. And they ended up having a copperhead snake in their kitchen. And he had to literally behead it with a shovel because they couldn't move it. I know, call PETA, blah, blah, blah. It was in their house. You know, I firmly believe that when something is in your house, it kind of, and you don't want it there, kind of forfeits their right to live if it's a danger to you. And it was, so copperheads are venomous. So it's not like, you know, dad or mom could have just picked it up and took it outside. So I'm not a fan. And I know that I don't think they have armadillos there, but I'm terrified of armadillos. Like, legit terrified of armadillos. Since I heard that they carry leprosy, it's not called that anymore. I've talked about this before, but leprosy terrifies me, okay? Like, I have almost every fucking medical condition known to man. I'm exaggerating, but I have quite a few. So, I really don't want leprosy. I don't think even healthy people would really like that. So, that's something. Aw, man. Could they have waited to lightning me after the golden mushroom? Probably not. So I watched somebody dissect Megan Fox's new poetry book. Or I shouldn't say new, it is newer. And I gotta tell you, kinda yikes. It does not read mature for her age at all. Megan Fox is only a couple years younger than I am. And it hasn't been that wonderful. I think she learned a lot of what she writes from, like, bad Instagram poetry. And I'm not saying all poetry on Instagram is bad. I'm just saying there's a lot of bad stuff on Instagram. So I think she learned that. Like, one of the things a lot of modern poets do now is, like, put the title at the end to make, like, a bigger impact. So it's, like, the last line of the poem. It reads more juvenile. It reads teenage angst. And like I said, she does the title at the end thing. I'm not a fan of that. Because when I want you to read the poem and the title of the poem and then the poem, you'll see like what connects or what doesn't. But with her, it's like, okay, I'm gonna like make up totally random like garbage on the spot. So bear with me here. Like, I saw petals fall from his eyes. The stars flew from his mouth. He gasped at me. He was the abuser. I was the clown. And like the fucking like title is like the mismatch ceremony of the Emperor stage or some stupid fucking thing. And it's like sometimes she uses like really huge words, sometimes incorrectly. Sometimes she like tries to make it sound deep and then it's like really shallow. It's like really bizarre. It doesn't match well. And there were some things that were important for her to say, but it really did sound like it was more of a thought on what to write about in the future and not a full poem. But yeah, I don't like people who use the title as kind of a gotcha at the end. Maybe it's because I'm old. And the gotcha of the title at the end, it can be effective, but it's generally not, because it's meant to be a gotcha. It's meant to be the title is pseudo deep, and it's like, can't it just be the fucking last line of your poem then, please? Like, if it's gonna carry such an impact, why does it have to be the title at the end? I don't know. I don't like that for some reason. I'm not a fan. I know there are rules for everything, and I know that, like, it can be done effectively, but, like, all the time, it's like, is this one of the ways you're trying to, like, get everything, like, sealed together? Because I don't understand it otherwise. So, and yes, everything I just said was basically word salad gobbledygook, and some of her poems were more most of her poems were more sensical than that. But the different like pseudo deep thing 1 minute, and then like the ha 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 you have a small penis and you abused me thing. True poem in there, more or less. Not the way I worded it, but yeah. Like, oh, your dick was tiny anyway. Or good luck with your porn addiction or something like that. I don't know. And I was just like, okay then, girl, go off, I guess. Like, we need to have this discussion about how penis size is body shaming. You get that, right? Like, everybody gets that by now, right? I mean, yeah, somebody who's your abuser, like, I get that, but at the same time, like, there are so many more things to rag on them for. Oh, I don't know, it just, like, sometimes she would use, like, words like diaphanous, and then sometimes she would just be like, oh, your penis is small, or good luck with that tiny dick, or whatever, and it's like, okay, this is very incongruent, and I don't know if she understands that or not. It was just, yeah, so maybe poetry is not her genre. It happens. I've seen people who are fantastic poets but horrible short story writers. I've seen people who kill a memoir, but they are stuck writing something else, and it just doesn't work. So maybe she thought she was a poet, and she's not. Then again, half the time I'm convinced I'm not a poet either. What do I know? The illustrations in the book are good, but they're not even hers, which is fine. But if they're like one of the best parts of the book, then it's not a great poetry book. If like the best thing people can say about my poetry is that the art I didn't even draw is the best part, then no thank you. I just think there could have been so much more, and I think she used the wrong vehicle to convey it. And that's what the person reviewing it said. The person reviewing it is Rachel Oates, and she takes down like a lot of like different things, but she does like a lot of like reality stars and stuff poetry collections because she's an amateur poet herself out of the UK. And she was like, this could have actually been like a really interesting essay, like the thoughts in this. And I'm like, yeah, that it seems fair. So maybe she's just writing in the wrong genre. It happens. I've seen people who want to write memoir try to write poetry. And one of the things I have a problem with poetry is sometimes people literally take a sentence, and Rachel's talked about this too, and literally chopped it up and called it a poem. So you'll have somebody literally talking in a sentence like, I tried to love you, but the dog growled at you and I knew you weren't a good person, and literally chop up the line so that every like 3 words are on a different line, and they call that a poem. And it's like, no, that's not a poem. Just because you chop up things in a random place doesn't make it a poem. A poem uses the tools of a poem. It uses rhyme, it uses assonance, it uses metaphor and simile, it uses allusions, it uses comparison in a certain type of way. It uses repetition. There are just so many things a poem uses in order to get everything across. And yes, where to cut the lines for a line break is a very important part of a poem. She is correct about that. Like, using line breaks effectively can in turn take a whole poem and make it different. Like, why is a poem just like one run-on line or several short lines? Because it matters. Like, taking a line break is, the shorter the line breaks, the more urgency, anger, etc., the more immediate. Like, it conveys anger, it conveys like the need for immediacy, expediency, where longer lines slow the pace down. Then there's something called enjambment. I mean, there are just so many different things you can use. Onomatopoeia can be used effectively, even in adult poems, though that is tricky. And an onomatopoeia is a word that sounds like it means. So the word buzz is an onomatopoeia because the word buzz sounds like buzz. You know what I mean? So the word it is what it sounds like. Like, you remember those old Batman things where it would go like, pow, bam, you know, that kind of thing? Those are onomatopoeia. And that's more in children's stuff, but it can be used effectively in adult stuff. Like, a concrete poem is one that actually combines an image with the poem. There are just so many tools to use for poetry. Like, absolutely huge amounts. Allusions to different things. And you can use a lot of these techniques in other genres, but just to cut up a poem in, like, or lines is not a poem. Does not a poem make. I love you, I said flippantly, door closed, eyes open, is not a poem when it's just chopped up. It's just a line. It's just a sentence. And I really want people to know there is a huge difference between a sentence and a poem, or a poetic sentence and a poem. Anyway, I'm getting off this topic. It's boring to a lot of people, but yeah, it was an interesting takedown of it, and I appreciated it. And Megan Fox's stuff goes through like domestic violence, and sometimes it doesn't really treat it with the gravitas it deserves. Yeah, onomatopoeia is literally like words that sound like they're like what they do, what they are. That's the best way I can give it to you right now, but there it is. So, yeah, there are different things that do different things in poetry, and I don't know. Like I said, most of my poems start off as like these blocks of text. That's what mine start off like, most of the time. They don't come in like couplets or tercets, which is a 3-line stanza, or, you know, quatrains, which is the 4. They don't do all that at first. I don't have the grammar perfect. I don't have the line choice. I don't have the what the fuck, alliteration. I love alliteration. It is one of my absolute favorite things. But if you do it, it's like rhyme, it gets too sing-songy. But alliteration is another one to use as well. Sometimes it is a specific poem, like a specific amount of syllables. And then there's like iambic pentameter. I've honestly never been good at syllabic poetry. I'm not good at counting syllables. I actually suck ass. Unless it's a really basic word, I'm like, is it 2 or 3? And I'm always like putting extra syllables where they don't need to be because I don't want to be wrong. So things like haiku can actually be very challenging for me because it's something I can't always keep track of appropriately. Sometimes I have to actually use a syllable dictionary or things that help with that because I'm not good with it, which is okay. I'm not good with a lot of things. I understand where some of my strengths and weaknesses are, though. The problem with a lot of my poems' first drafts are that I have sagging middles. Like a bed that's like 90 years old that everybody just slept in the middle of. That's my poems at first. They are just really saggy. Like I will start like 2-3 lines strong. And then my brain will have a different idea of a different thing that kind of ties in but not really, and then I'm over here on a tangent that doesn't need to be explored, and then I bring it all back to the end. And part of my problem with all that is I need to actually cut. So when I begin my poems, I overwrite a lot of different things. Hi, Lady Random, how are you? How is everything? Any plans for the weekend? I hope so. Hey, I finished 4th. Not bad, not bad. I'm gonna request a drink from husband. The heartburn is severe with these drugs, I tell ya. Gonna try to stream this week. Oh my god, that took me a long time. I'm glad. I like your streams. It's nice to see you too. I'm not gonna bring it up like extensively and ask for anything, but I hope that when you had your tests, everything turned out okay. That's where I'm leaving it. And the only reason I'm bringing it up here is because we mentioned it on stream one of the last times you were here. So, yeah. So when I have a sagging middle to my poems, I have to cut out a lot. And then that's where the real magic begins. I have to find, because I try to tie the end to the beginning. And sometimes I stick the end so well. But then all the middle is like, somebody read one of my poems once and they're like, do you realize you have 3 poems here? And I'm like, no, it's all one poem. And they're like, yeah, fuck it is. And they actually like showed me the lines and I'm like, oh yeah, I see that. So I have to be really careful, like what I'm trying to say when. So I think I've only written actually a couple of full poems this month. I have like 17 down, but they're partials or they sag too much, or I feel like part of it is I'm writing the same thing over and over again. And I'm writing a lot about I'm so sorry, excuse me. I'm writing a lot about Golden Wolf. And like missing him or trying to make it work as a family or whatever. So it's been a little... And it's like, okay, we already wrote the brother doesn't love you poem anymore. Can we go on from that brain? And the brain's like, not yet. So I'm also trying to write more paranormal poems because if I have a paranormal book coming out later this year, maybe I need a few more poems in that damn book. So that would be nice. So I'm trying to actually like write a few more like paranormal poems. I wrote a lot of speculative work and then I just started writing literary, and I only ever write a few spec poems, but my spec poems usually get picked up pretty fast. And I know I want to explore Venn diagram poetry more, which for those of you who caught my stream on contrapuntal poems know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm in love with the diagram poems. It's so hard though. Like, I have one that was almost done, and it was about this dead bird that like comes back to life. And one side was about like the dead bird like looking at you through the white marble eye because it was dead, and the other one is like, the other side of it was like seeing a zombie out your window, and like it was going well, and then like when I mashed the two ends together, it fell apart. And that happens sometimes. Sometimes when you're writing contrapuntals, you can't make it work on all fronts, and that's sad. Sometimes you need to just put it away for a while and look at it later, but sometimes the idea just isn't strong enough. And you really need to evaluate like where you are and all that kind of thing. It's kind of like being a streamer but not knowing who you are, what you want to do with it, you know? You always have to like keep digging until you can either clarify or discard what you want to do. I don't think I'm doing another karaoke stream ever again, by the way. Speaking of clarifying who you are and what you do. But I'm glad I didn't chicken out, because I thought I was going to be a fucking puss about it and like not do it. Because I am very nervous, and my nervousness actually leads me to suckage when I sing for people. So that's a little rough. I actually didn't. I was shaking so bad I fucked up everything. And I'm used to singing Hallelujah. And I tried to do a little bit of an acapella because I was trying to explain that there's not a version that does what I do. So like a lot of people have Hallelujah as a karaoke and as a version, but I can't find ones that do it the way I do it. So I can't really sing to it. And I got so nervous, my voice cracked right through and I couldn't start it. I got to the first part of it, like, okay, I heard there was a secret chord David played to please Lord. You don't really care for music, do ya? Goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, minor fall, major lift, the baffled king composing Hallelujah. I lost it like in that line, the baffled king composing Hallelujah. And I totally lost it. And I was gonna do a few more songs, like Fall For You by Secondhand Serenade and This Town by Niall Horan, and I didn't. After I got like through a half an hour, and my brain is like, fuck you, don't do this anymore. And I was shaking, and my mouth was going dry. It was terrible. But I did what I promised. I did what I promised. I'm trying to do one non-gaming stream a month, where I do paranormal, crafting, poetry, art, something different. I really wish I could do more non-gaming stuff. I'm not trained, I wish I were. Because I've had multiple music teachers tell me that if I was able to have lessons, I'd actually be an amazing singer, which I don't believe. But they weren't trying to sell me anything at that point. So, like, when I was in, like, first grade and shit, I could, like, get up a moment's notice and sing. I thought I was hot shit at one point in my life, man. The hottest of hot shit. But yeah, too bad. But I don't want to be a professional. I used to when I was really little, but I don't want to be. I want to sound professional, though. There's a difference. I have no idea. And I've actually brought people to tears. And the reason is, like, when I'm alone in public, when I think I'm alone, I can sing without, like, my voice cracking and stuff, because I'm alone. So, one day, I was seeing my old nurse practitioner, and her receptionist, who knew me pretty well at the time, because I'm always in my freaking doctor's office, she had stepped away, and nobody else was in the whole place. So I was singing Get Higher by Matt Nathanson, and because they had it on the music channel, and she, like, after the song, she had walked up to me and started crying. I didn't know she was there, and she's like, oh my god, she's like, I didn't know you could do that. I said, sing on key sometimes. But we have to have a talk about that at point. I love country singers though. Like, what kind of country singer? Are we talking like old-timey like Tanya Tucker and all that? Because that's great. My mom used to do like Delta Dawn and what the hell else was it? Oh, Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone. I Would You Lay With Me, I think it's called. That one's around, so around is an actually very interesting thing to do. So the chorus is actually around, like row, 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 oh, your boat is around. Because people ask me what around is, so it's where you start the first line and then somebody comes in after you start the second. Like row, row, row your boat. Somebody goes row, row as you're going gently down the stream. So that's kind of what it is. Well, I always tell people, singing is a joyful thing for a lot of people, so it doesn't matter what you sound like. If you want to do it, do it. And it helps with lung capacity a little bit, breath control. And some people really need the breath control, and they honestly don't realize it. One of the songs I sing is I'll Be by Edwin McCain. And he has the line that goes, turn in, turn on, remember the things that you said. And when he says said, it's like a really long fucking like gap. And then there's like The Face by Ryan and Dan. And that's too high for me. Well, that's cute though. Maybe she's just jealous that she can't do what you can do. Oh, that's one I don't do. Someday you should, if you ever get the confidence, I'd love to hear it. I get nervous though. I released one song on my YouTube and it was horrible because I was so nervous. Someday I hope to not care anymore and just like sing. Because I have like some really fucking like fun ideas for like musical jokes and I can't do them because I'm too self-conscious. Yeah, I feel well, I'm pretty bad actually. My mom and I were gonna sing at one point, and by the time I got ready to sing, because she wanted to record it for her friends on the internet, she didn't want to do it with me anymore because she was having breathing problems at that point. But I wanted her to practice to get her voice back, because near like the end of her life, she would be singing like Rockabye Baby to Little Wolf, the nephew, her grandson, and she would be trying to sing and rock him to sleep, and she would lose her breath, and I would have to like pick up where she left off. I understand not wanting to do it on stream. The minute I got done, like laughing at myself and like voice cracking, I deleted it like immediately. But there are so many other songs I want to do, but I just like, I love the song from Brother Bear, like Look Through My Eyes, but I'll never sing that one. And Disney swats you down really hard anyway. But we'll take a look through my eyes is amazing. The one from Tangled is amazing. You know, I thought about doing like public domain songs, but there are so many that are just, you know, not my speed. I feel that way too, like, why are you lying to me? But then if they lie to me and or if they tell me I'm awful, then I feel bad anyway. So like, I could actually not look at the chat when I was doing it. Like, I tried to pretend I was alone, which doesn't work, but it doesn't work. Because even if I'm recording it for my own use or to see how I sound, the minute I know I'm being recorded, I fucking just freak out. I do. It's awful. Even if I know I'm gonna delete it right afterwards, I can't do it. So that kind of sucks. I did Eric Etheridge's Met Me First. I tripped on a banana and lost 6th place. So I did Met Me First by Eric Etheridge. I did Sylvia's Nobody. I was gonna do Chewy by Ohio Express because when my mom used to do it in the band, at one point it's do it to me, chew me out of my mind, but she would be like, do it to me, chewy, screw me out of my mind. It was so funny. And she'd do it in a bar, and my grandfather was not pleased, but oh well. But yeah, it was funny. Someday I should sing y'all the Pussycat song. My pussycat was scratching out on the front porch. Scratched so long, poor pussy got sore. Sore pussy. That's a really funny one. That's the only song my grandfather begged my mother not to sing in the bar. And then it's like Sore Pussy, just a friendly little cat. And eventually it's like sore, wet, hot, bald, free pussy. Then she's like, just a friendly little cat. It's a funny song. There's a guy version, but I like the female version better. But yeah, it's like something about her pussycat was rocking in a rocking chair, rocked so long he lost his hair, bald pussy. And at the end, she's like, I said to my neighbor, set my pussy free, free pussy. Sore, wet, hot, bald, free pussy. Just a friendly little cat. It's funny. My mom learned that for the band, and Grandpa was like, please don't do that, please. And her just being up in front of a bunch of drunks singing about free pussy. I can understand where he might not have been the most thrilled. My mom had it on an old 45, like a lot of it she did. Like, she hated Juice Newton's Queen of Hearts, but I love that song. And I also love Juice Newton's Love's Been a Little Bit Hard on Me. And people are like, who the fuck is Juice Newton nowadays? And I'm like, yeah, I'm old, I get it. But to be fair, some of it was my mom's music. Like, we would do Going to the Chapel by, like, the Dixie Cups. And she would do my harmony because I could not do harmony. And I can do harmony to save my life, so... I mean, if you can barely sing melody, it's not great. But, yeah, I can do harmony to save my life. Yeah, me too. Me too. Music is timeless. Like, I learned, we had a Kitty Wells thing that was from a tape from records, and it would skip, so, like, we had it recorded with the skips. So I learned how to literally sing it with the skips. And my mom thought it was the funniest thing ever because that's what I kept doing. And I'm like, Mom, how the hell am I supposed to know what she says? There's a bunch of skips, like, you know, it was like really bad. And it would start making sense and then she'd just go off again, so it's not my fault Kitty had a problem. Yeah, Kitty Wells was, I think, in the 40s. And I like Connie Francis as well. That's like really old-timey shit. Although Connie Francis was more 50s, 60s, I think. She did Where the Boys Are, which is like my favorite one of hers. I ran across Hopelessly Devoted from Grease recently again. That's my favorite Grease song. Like, I love some of the musicals, not all of them. Like, I did not like Evita. But I like Little Shop of Horrors. I love Grease. Singing in the Rain used to be something I used to love as a little girl. So, like, my parents went to a concert when I was like 4 and my grandma was watching us. And it was like 11:30 at night and I was watching Singing in the Rain and she was making fried chicken at that late at night. She might have been drunk, now that I think about it. Grandma liked the booze. But, yeah, she was dancing in the kitchen, cooking fried chicken. I was on a mattress in the living room, and we were singing in the Rain songs. It was actually one of the really good memories of my grandma. Yeah, that would be nice. I don't think it would be bad, unless you were nervous. My voice totally fucks up when I'm nervous. I'm not that bad when I'm by myself and just cooking with it, but yeah. Well, you can send it to me. I have a email that's tolucaturtle@hotmail.com, and no, I will not send it to anyone else. Like, I will listen to it, and it will promptly go in the garbage where I will permanently delete it. Just like anything else anybody sends me that doesn't want anything to get anywhere. But yeah, it's just TolucaTurtle, all one word, just like my VTuber handle, and then at hotmail.com. Hotmail, because I'm an old ass motherfucker. Yeah, I always send you proof if you send me something and then I delete it afterwards. I do that.
I thought it was Outlook.
Outlook? It's Outlook. It's a...
TolucaTurtle.
Yes. Yes, okay, thank you. See, I'm so old, my husband's like, it's Outlook, it's not Hotmail. I forgot they changed, okay? I'm an old turtle. So yes, it's TolucaTurtle@outlook.com. I'm an old turtle. I'm a very old turtle. And I finally took that without... I feel like I'm 90 most days. So, yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to go through so many more songs in my karaoke thing, but it was rough. Like, Shy Guy was there. And he knew how rough it was for me. And it was rough for him to listen to it as well. I'm sure. But I did what I promised. I don't know what my next non-gaming stream is going to be because I am just not there yet. Yeah, you feel 80. Yeah. I want to make it to 81. I think 81 is the perfect age. If I get more than 81 years, that'll be cool, but I feel like 81 is perfect. Like 20 years for each season of life, so to speak, and then at least one more year to get back to the spring of your life. But I don't think I'm going to make it that far. I wish otherwise, but I don't think so. Not with all my fucking health problems. And I think I have my health problems under control, and then my body is like, by the way, staph infection, get fucked. And trust me, I did feel fucked too. I really do feel so screwed sometimes. But all you gotta do is keep doing what you're doing and keep going for it and see how far you get. But yeah, I also wanted to do Dancing on My Own by Callum Scott. I don't like the original song as much as his remake, which is rare. Because usually I love the originals more than the remakes. But not this time. I didn't even see what courses were on offer. I just clicked the nice little question mark button. But yeah, I gotta time myself reading my poems tonight. I only picked 4 for the reading tomorrow. We'll see what happens there. I have some books for sale yet. I debated adding a 5th poem where I could read from the one that might get published this year, but then I was like, no. And there's a children's author there, so I'm like, okay, I will definitely look after this. Thank you. Thank you for entrusting me with it. I will listen before bed tonight. I hope. I'm trying to get everything ready for tomorrow. And then I will delete it. If possible. I think you can on Discord, so. I have a really low voice for a cis woman. So I have a very low singing voice. So a lot of my songs are men. Like from men. Like, I wanted to do Toby Keith's You Shouldn't Kiss Me Like This. But I did Cam's Burning House. I love that one. I wanted to find DHT's Someone, and they have Listen to Your Heart, but not Someone as karaoke. And I don't know why people don't remember that song. That was like the only other hit DHT had, at least over here. You know? Yeah, to belong to a VTuber group, you have to usually like do art and sing and play games and there's like a whole fucking list they want, because a lot of things come from the whole idol culture in Japan or wherever, where everybody like sings and acts and dances and does whatever else in order to like have the perfect like idol thing. You have to be like this whole package. I'm not the whole package. I play video games, I talk about like, you know, disability justice, paranormal shit, crafting, stuff like that. I'm definitely not a whole package kind of girl. My art sucks. Unequivocally sucks, which is fine. My poetry is something I don't really share too much on here, and it's okay-ish. And then I don't know, I don't have a good singing voice. It's not too horrible, except when it is. Like, if I'm nervous, it's horrible. If I had money and I could just spend it frivolously and it was a fair bit, one of the things I would do for myself is, like, things like self-improvement would be voice lessons. Because I want to get somewhere with how I sound. But part of it is I need to work out the nerves too. Like, if I went to a voice coach, I think I'd be too scared to sing in front of them. Like, they'd be like, okay, let's run the scales. I'd be like, and like croak it out, because I wouldn't be able to actually do it. And some of the exercises they make you do make me feel so silly. Yeah, the groups can be really sketchy for VTubers. Like, it feels a lot like back when regular YouTubers had managers where they like took a part of your profit and they had all this stuff you had to go through, and the benefits were sometimes few and far between, very sketchy. They worked you to the bone. It all kind of depends. So, yeah, I wouldn't want that at all. A lot of people still think it's the only way to success as a VTuber, though. Yeah, we're gonna just take the random again. Why not? But yeah, I would have a really hard time. Like, some of the corporate VTubers, it's like, if you have a gen mate, you can't share their song, and you have to like run every game through them to figure out if you can play it, and you can only like have collabs at certain times with certain people in your gen or in your group and nothing else, and you can't do this outside project, and if you want to do this series, you have to get the green light for this series, and if you want to run this contest, you have to pay for it yourself even though they're getting a shitload of money off you. It's confusing. Well, VShojo actually lets you keep everything, so I understand that. You're not, like, giving up your persona or your identity online. You're not, like, I think they just try to make you, like, the best part of who you are, I think. Like, they don't try to, like, force you into a box and say, okay, now you have to draw, now you have to do art, now you have to do, like, 3 collabs with, like, 10 hours each, and then you have to do, like, 15 different, like, rehearsals for, like, 18 new songs, and it's not like that. Like, some of the corporations are, oh my god, she's falling asleep on stream, isn't that cute? No, she didn't used to. You're literally working her to death. That is not cute. Working someone to death, burnout, health issues, not cute. Hair falling out, new stomach pain, not cute, not funny. Haha, I'm so stressed, haha, not cute. You're literally causing them to burn out. I didn't trick off that, I would have made it. You know, oh, your dad has cancer? Well, fuck you. You have another health problem? Well, fuck you. Your animals need, like, you there because they're going through a surgery? Well, guess what? We don't care. Fuck you. You know, you don't want this model? Well, too late. Fuck you. You don't get along with this person? Again, fuck you. And it's like, okay then, I don't want to be part of you. But that's not why I did this anyway. I did this to talk to people, man. I'm a talker. Like, every once in a while, Shy Guy, who's my mod, is like, why don't you just do talking streams? Because obviously, a lot of times, like, the game is background noise. Like, today, I'm obviously not driving well. So it's kind of just something on the TV while I talk. And that's okay. You know, and he's like, you could just do talking streams, and I'm like, I think I'm too boring without a game or something going on. I am, I think. But today is just that anybody can join if they want to, and I'm just talking about whatever the fuck comes to my mind. But when don't I do that? When don't I do that, honestly? People are saying the Fallout show is like really, really good. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't really been into Fallout, to be honest. I tried the Fallout Shelter game, where you had to like keep everything running, and I was not good at that. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna take a drink. But otherwise, I haven't really played Fallout, and people say some Fallout stuff is really good. I like Elder Scrolls. Actually, I did not beat Skyrim, but I beat the main game and the DLC for Oblivion, and I don't know why I did one but not the other. I have no real idea why that happened. Why that's a thing. But here we are. But yeah, there was even the Sheogorath DLC where I was like, yep, I'm jumping on that. But it's weird, like sometimes I'll get into a series at 2 or installment 3 and I don't want to go back. Like State of Decay 2, I went back to the regular State of Decay. Big mistake, I did not like the regular State of Decay, but I love State of Decay 2. The Witcher, the second one got me through, or the third one got me through my mom's death. Like, I was playing that so often so I wouldn't have to think about my mom dying, my mom being dead. And, so that's what I did for that one. And then I tried to go back to 2, I think, briefly, and it wasn't as good to me. So... And then there are games where the first game was good, the second game was better, or whatever. I'm just saying, that's kind of what I do, is... When my life gets too rough, I kind of disappear into a game or a book or whatever. Like, when my mom first got sick on us, when I was in 7th grade, I think it was, I had found Terry Pratchett's Discworld series at that point, and specifically the books on the witches. And I love Terry Pratchett stuff now. And it got me through, you know, that part of the the late spring, because I think she had gotten sick sometime in April, and she had been actually in the hospital and stuff like a good chunk of that month, almost dead, and that's how I got through. And like when Golden Wolf, my oldest brother, decided he didn't want anything to do with me, I actually was playing my time at Sandrock at that point. Yeah, you know Life DO2? Oh my god. DD2, what the okay, now I don't know what that is. You'll have to explain that. DD2, Darkest Dungeon? That doesn't make sense. DD2 didn't come out yet. Dragon's Dogma. Ah, yeah. Okay, so you got through that. I saw you play at one point. Is it a game you'd recommend, ultimately? Because I haven't played it. I tried the first one and I sucked ass butter at it. Like, unequivocal metric tons of ass butter. So I haven't played it anymore. I dropped the game. Although I did have this one funny thing where like this really big like ogre like dark thing actually was fighting me near the beginning of the original Dragon's Dogma, and it actually like flung me off a mountain or something, and I fucking just automatically died. It was quite funny. I'm glad you liked it so much. Yeah, eventually I'm gonna start playing Lost Judgment on here too, or Cat Quest 2. I'm not sure yet. We're still going through Evil West. I want to start streaming 3 days a week again, but everything's just kind of up in the air. And now with being on the two different types of antibiotics, which means my schedule's fucked up, which means I'm sleeping even less, and trying to get everything done. Like, I have a presentation in my real life YouTube channel I'm trying to get done. And oh damn, I sucked balls at that one. And Zen's on top again. So yeah, I don't know. I am talking to somebody around here who has seen Bigfoot, but we haven't gotten a date together yet to actually go through and he'll give me his evidence. That's very sweet of you. You can do the same for me. But yeah, it's a lot. I just talk about everything on stream. What I'm watching, what I'm going through. Like, people know I have a staph infection even. That's why I'm on the antibiotics right now. It's just, it is what it is. So after tomorrow's reading, I'm going to be doing the one presentation on my personal YouTube channel. And then that's like the other big project I have to do this month. So I did the karaoke stream already. And I've done most of my big projects. I'm still writing a poem a day, if not more than one. So I'm also trying to keep that going. Yeah, I have a problem with not like trauma dumping or problem dumping on people too. And it's just like with my stream, I just jump from one thing to another. I'm an open book because I cannot be, but when it comes to like one-on-one where somebody's like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, I'm okay. Like, I'll deal with it. Like, it's fine. Like, I could be bleeding out and I'd be like, oh, it's a scratch. Don't worry about me. Are you okay? Are you having an okay night? It's kind of how it goes. I can't tell you how many people I've talked through a crisis while me being in crisis myself. I don't know why I do that. It's like it's easier just to deflect. Or if I'm talking to somebody about what's going wrong in my life, it's always so dispassionately. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on antibiotics again, it's fucking up my schedule, I have heartburn, you know. It's just like, I'm reading off like some kind of a script almost. It's just like a news story. It's very dispassionate. Like, I can't really tell you how difficult it's been because this infection has made me feel like I'm not actually getting better with anything, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it's made me feel crappy, like I'm not getting better, but like behind the scenes I'm like a fucking mess. Like, I'm honestly like dealing with a lot of self-loathing, but I'm just like, oh yeah, it's been rough, and then you see the rough and I'm like breaking down. Yeah, and actually it's staph and it hasn't morphed into anything, which is a little shocking since my body hates me and doesn't want to actually do anything. You see, the first time I told my nurse practitioner about it, she was like, I'll give you this cream, and then I took it and it helped for a while, and then somebody else said, well, maybe it's a fungal infection. on your skin. So they told me to use a powder, and so I tried the powder, and it made it not like get all icky and everything, but it wasn't helping. And then I went back to my nurse practitioner early this month, and she's like, well, I could give you like prescription antifungal. And I said, you can do that, but can you please also like swab the area? And here they swabbed it, and it's like staph. And I'm like, oh, so I've had a staph infection almost an entire fucking year. And only because I really said this should be swabbed did I finally figure out that it's been a staph infection for almost a year. Cool. Glad I didn't totally fuck myself and just let her give me the oral antifungal without actually having her swap me. Oh my god. It's been a ride. Because my pain tolerance is like incredibly high. Because I live with pain. All the time. Oh, let's go with this again. So, like, when something else goes wrong with my body, unless it's significantly wrong, I'm just like, oh, well, we'll put a bandage on that and we'll just keep on moving. I need to stop doing that. Like, when they did my cancer stuff and I'm cancer-free, which is why I did the karaoke stream, they actually found out I have extremely high inflammation. And that's one of the markers of rheumatoid, which is, I think I have it. I've been tested for it. I had a positive once, then I wasn't in a flare, so then I read up negative. And then my inflammation is so incredibly high. And she's like, you know, that could make you feel like shit. And I'm like, yep, I know it can make me feel like shit. So she wants to put me on an anti-inflammatory as well, which I don't think is the wrong move here, but I need to weigh my options. Thank you. I'm glad I'm cancer-free. It's been a road. 2 different cancers. Multiple operations. One was a DNC to get the mass out of my uterus. One was a thoracotomy where half my rib had to come out as well. I have a 4-inch scar on my chest because of it. And I had to have 5 weeks of radiation and 6 doses of chemo. Radiation in the DNC was for the uterine. Hodgkin's lymphoma was the thoracotomy and the chemotherapy. I don't feel amazing. I feel battered and bruised, like a war veteran, kind of, sort of. I know that's not the best analogy for it, but I've been through some shit. And only when I start telling everybody about my life, like everything I've seen and done and had to deal with, and then watch them be like, oh my god, and I'm like, oh yeah, you don't have to deal with that, do you? Like, it doesn't dawn on you because it's your life. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're just living your life feels like your life. You're just in it. It doesn't feel like anything like glorious or marvelous or difficult, as far as like, sometimes it feels difficult, but like, not in the way somebody who's had like 2 loving parents and has never had cancer and was never like had any childhood abuse or anything. Like, there's like a lot of different things where once you start telling people like, yeah, my dad like walked out on the family after I was X amount old, and like we were so poor, like mom didn't have food in the cupboard at points, and like when you start getting that and you like see people be like more and more shocked or horrified or piteous or sympathetic, and you're like, oh yeah, you didn't have to deal with that, did you? Like, then it dawns on you that yeah, this ain't a story everybody hears. So because I'm, you know, you live the life you have, so a lot of times it's commonplace. Right, so when they look at somebody who's dealt with a lot of different shit, and then to them it's like, oh my god, and you're just like, what, wait, what, that's my life, like, what's, yeah, I know it's not like optimal, but that's where we are, you know? And then you have to like see it through their eyes, where They didn't have to go through, like, they weren't a child of divorce. Didn't grow up with, like, all the health issues. They didn't have X, Y, and Z. And you're like, oh yeah, okay, that would make sense that you looked at me that way. You know? I don't know. Because when you're in it, it doesn't feel like it's, you know, a certain way. Like something to be pitied or something to be like, oh my god, how did you survive that or whatever. It's just kind of how it is. Ah, motherfucker. I'm still in 7th, it's fine. But yeah, it's kind of hard to remember that other people don't have that kind of background, or to the point where it would feel like it was a huge deal, I should say. Let's try Animal Crossing. That's a nice track, usually. So yeah, I'm gonna be signing books tomorrow for all 2 people who care to buy them. I'm gonna be donating my money to the library because our library is being taken over by people who want to be fiscally responsible, which means they're gonna cut the library's hours and materials and everything like that. Yeah, when you've been through something, you can't just turn it the fuck off. It's not a TV show where once you're done, you can turn off the TV and walk into the other room. Some things just stay with you. Even if you think you got a handle on them, sometimes they just are like, oh, by the way, I actually affect this. And you're like, oh, hey there, trauma, I didn't see you. Or sometimes trauma's like hitting you in the face every day and you're like, hey, trauma, could we just cut the fucking shit, please? And trauma's like, nope, sorry, dear, bam, 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 bam. And yeah, every day sometimes. It depends on the person, depends on the thing. And no matter what you do, sometimes you will, you know, there's only so much you can do to get better. Sometimes it's about living with what your reality is and trying to mitigate it as much as you can. So, pushing against it if possible, living with the rest. And that's it. That's all you can do. Yeah, I've had times like that too, to be honest. The thing about life is, and it's gonna sound trite, but the thing I tell myself is that times don't last. And that means if you're having a really good time, cherish it. Because it isn't going to be something you're always gonna have. But if you're in the middle of really bad shit, times don't last. So the better days will someday be here. And some days when I say better, I don't mean you're winning the lottery, living in a castle, eating caviar, like having every pet you want, having every fucking whim tended to. Sometimes better days just mean waking up and nobody else is dying, waking up and your health is a little more stable than it used to be, waking up and you're more able to hear the bird song out the window. Sometimes better only means better to an extent. So when I say better days, I don't mean, oh, everything's great now, because for some people that's not going to be reality. For some people, great now is not a thing they can achieve. But better? Maybe. Okay? Possibly. And we gotta work towards whatever better looks like. Whatever better can possibly be. Yep, all you can do is hang on to whatever reason you got. No matter how small it is or how petty, whatever it is. Somebody you really want to stick it to says you can't do something, then, you know, that's a reason to stay if you're a person who's like maybe just a little bit vengeful. Like, haha, motherfucker, I'm gonna do everything I can to like stay here to spite your ass. or you have a pet, or you have a sibling, or a lover, or a neighbor who relies on you, or just a bunch of other things, other people, other critters, other anything. Sometimes it's thinking that a band you love will eventually put out another song you love. Or your favorite food, you'll never get to eat it again if you're not here. Your favorite Christmas tradition, you won't get to have if you're not here. Your favorite sound, your favorite movie, you'll never get to see. You know? Anything like that. The thing is, the thing about Minecraft or not being alive is that you can't undo that decision tomorrow. When I feel like I just want to give up, I tell myself, you can't undo that decision tomorrow. You make it, it's done. And what happens when there is a tomorrow and something else could have happened? You know? Bad times don't last, good times don't last. You just gotta survive the bad and hold on to the good as much as you got. And sometimes it ain't a lot. So you look at whatever thing you have for surviving. If it's a game that's coming out that you really want to play, you hold on to that. Because something happens to you, you can't play the game. The new game that you're so fucking excited for. Whatever it is. You love a chocolate milkshake, a good chocolate milkshake? Well, you can't have those when you're dead. You wanted to learn a new language or a new thing before you die? Well, you can't learn anything when you're dead. They say when somebody dies, the average person, so not like somebody who's like a huge singer or whatever, if 9 people are terribly affected by that person's death. And it might not be the people you always think. It's not just like the children, parents, siblings, spouses. Sometimes it's people you don't expect. Because we create webs, filaments of touch that we don't even know exist. And you sever those filaments if you don't have tomorrow. So you know, the thing is, sometimes when I get doomery, it's like, I ask myself one question always. And the question is simply, do I want to die? Or do I want my life to not be like this? Do I want a different life? Do I want different things? That's the question I always ask myself. Do I truly want to not be in this world anymore? Or do I just not want to live the life I've been living? Do I just not want the debt? Do I just not want the chronic pain? Do I just not want to be a professional patient? Do I just not want to lose another family member? Do I just not want to go through all this again? And that's what I ask myself. That's literally what I ask myself. All I ask myself is, do I really not want to be here anymore? Yeah, that's the thing. It sounds like you just don't want the life you're living. You don't like the way your life is now. And the thing is, even if you can get to that, hey, I don't want Minecraft, but I don't want to live like this anymore. I feel like I have no other choice. It's like, maybe there isn't a choice today. But you don't know if there's not a choice next week. You don't know if there's not a choice next month. You don't know if, like, 5 years is going to be a choice. If you would have told me, I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you would have told me on my 30th birthday, by the time I reached 40, I'm 39 right now, that my mom would be dead, my brother would be dead, my other brother, like, my oldest brother wouldn't speak to me, And all that would be left of my entire family would be me, my husband, my baby brother, and my sister. I don't know what I would have told you. I don't know if I would have believed you. If you would have told me I would have had cancer twice and got out of it both times, I don't know if I would have believed you. If you would have told me what my life looks like now, I don't know if I would have believed you. If you would have told me by the time I'm 40, I might be staring at having 2 books come out, when I promised myself if nothing happened by 40, I would have gave up my entire writing career, I would not have believed you. Because I literally have it written down. Like, a few years ago, I went back in my journal and looked. Because I periodically journal, and it said, I'm going to give, if I haven't published any books by the time I'm 40, I'm giving up. I literally said that I'm giving up. Because I can't take the rejection anymore. Would I have stuck with it? I don't know. But at the time, that's definitely how I was feeling. Because there's a thing that said, if you don't have your first collection out by 35, it diminishes how much you can accomplish as a poet. Is that true? I don't know. It was written by people who go through academia, so maybe if you were an academic, maybe. But either way, I was like, 40, I'm gonna give up. Fuck it. I'll give myself 5 more years. And my first book came out last year. And my second book might come out before my 40th birthday. I went from 0 to having 1 guaranteed, 1 in the works by the time I was 39. I wouldn't have expected it. If you would have told me at 19 that I would have found the guy of my dreams at 20, I would be living with him at 21, married at 22, our first apartment at 23, I would not have fucking believed you one bit. I was at 19, I was just graduating high school. My first boyfriend had cheated on me, and I didn't think anybody would want me because I was a fat girl in a wheelchair, and I didn't think I'd be interesting for anybody to want to date, much less marry. The only thing guys seemed interested in with me was a quick lay, because they were interested that I still had my V card at 19. Which, I don't really hold a lot of stock in virginity, but that's a whole different conversation. But that's what they wanted me for. I'll help you with your virginity problem. Yeah, it wasn't a problem to me, it was just a state I was currently in. I'm not sure why we think that it's a problem. But a lot of people hold worth on whether or not they are virgins or not, or whatever, so... I always thought my sister would get married and have a bunch of kids, and I would be like her kid's godmother, and that's about it. I never thought that I would be the one married. And my sister I'm trying to convince to go on dating apps and stuff. I never thought that it would be the other way around. I mean, I don't have kids because I don't want them, but I never thought I would be the one married and she would be the one single, still waiting for her Prince Charming. I always thought it would be me. I always thought I would be the spinster, the blue stocking, the single Pringle, whatever name you want to give, an older lady, which older is in 30s, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. But I never thought I would be the one to get married first. Totally not. I think so too. Especially now, a lot of people get married in their 30s, but we really, not prioritize, but we really put a lot of emphasis on youth. We really need, there is something I see every once in a while, and it's like, let's normalize finding new jobs in our 50s. Let's normalize falling in love in our 70s. Let's normalize finding new hobbies in our 90s. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's find it. Let's tell people this, because that's the thing about life. It changes all the time. And sometimes it doesn't change for the worse. Sometimes it does change for the better. And You know, maybe when you are 80, you'll find like something you were born to do and you'll just figure it out at 80. Maybe it wouldn't have been something you could get your hands on when you were 50 or 30, but you can as an 80-year-old. People don't know. And I think we need to normalize life being better, life looking sweet and new and glorious, no matter how old we are. Because up until the day we stop breathing, we have a chance for a different life. I just did Funky Kong really dirty. If he gets me back later, I understand. I actually red shelled him over a gap. I try not to do that to people, because I fucking hate it when people do that shit to me. But here we are. But yeah, we shouldn't be obsessed with youth and getting everything we want when we're young. I do talk about feeling behind though. Because if I looked at a list of what people said made a successful person, I'm not on there. Like, you know, when we first moved into our apartment, my husband and I was like, oh, it's going to be temporary and then we're going to find a way to own a home. Yeah, about that. Or, oh, when we move into our apartment, I'll be much closer to, you know, more able to go back to college for one reason or another. So I'll be able to go back to college. And when 2010, I looked into doing it again. And lo and behold, we couldn't and still live in our apartment because they have rules. So I was like, wait a minute, I can't actually go back to college now when I'm more primed and ready for it? Nope. So that was shot in the ass. So when I look at everything I've done or haven't done, it's like I had this specific vision for my life. It doesn't help that you're only given one roadmap to success. And it's get married by a certain age, have kids by a certain age, have this kind of career figured out, own a house by this age. That's not realistic for most people, especially not now. You know, less people can afford a house, less people can afford kids. You know, more people are having to deal with huge amounts of inflation and jobs that don't keep up the pace of that with the paycheck. We have people who are disabled but not recognized as such. We have people who are recognized as such who have to live in poverty because the paycheck isn't enough to live on. And they're genuinely disabled, not those fakers everyone talks about. I gotta tell you, the food stamp scam and the disability scam is a lot smaller of a percentage than people let on. But it sounds a lot better when you say everybody's faking it so that you can still fucking try to cheat everybody else out of everything. So yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I think we should normalize being older and not mattering as long as we get better, as long as we find something else. And that's what I want to do. That's why I picked up VTubing as already late in the game, you know? But I think that is going to be it for me. It's been 2 hours of me constantly yakking and my throat being dry and a little crackly. I hope all of you have a good weekend and keep trying, keep striving. You never know what you're going to find out there. Maybe you'll find the perfect partner. Maybe you'll find a new hobby. Maybe it'll just be a new friend. But there's something out there for you. Something that you won't find if you don't see tomorrow. So see tomorrow. And I will see you next week, my shelpers. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for being on this lovely planet with me always. And I will see all of you soon. Bye.